The headlines on Reporting Scotland this Tuesday lunchtime. A family of 4 are in a serious condition in hospital after an explosion in Ayr last night. And no change to the rules. Secondary school pupils will have to keep wearing masks in class. Hello there, good afternoon. A family of 4 are in hospital after an explosion in a housing estate in Ayr last night. The 2 adults and 2 children are in a serious condition. 4 properties were affected in the blast in Gorse Park in the Kincaidston area of Ayr at 7:10 last night. Residents in the area were evacuated to nearby rescue centres. Our reporter Aileen Clark has more.
Rubble strewn around these streets in Ayr and a major operation underway today to make this area safe. One house pretty much reduced to just rubble, the ones on either side extensively rocked and damaged. The sound of a massive explosion just after 7 o'clock last night was heard for miles, but felt by those closest.
Bomb, looked like a bomb, like genuinely, like thought somebody had. I thought that was us. That was at the end. I genuinely did. Thought that was us. My back windows have come in. Thankfully, dinner time was over, so we were in the living room when it happened, or I would have had my wee 1-year-old crawling about the kitchen floor. So I'm genuinely quite relieved.
Neighbours ran to help.
When I got in, there was a kid with his leg trapped. There was 2 guys trying to help the kid get out. I just kind of helped a wee bit as well, just to steady him a wee bit.
The mum, dad and 2 children were pulled from the rubble and at first taken to Cross House Hospital in Kilmarnock. Within the last hour, the emergency services were able to give some more information about how the family are doing, saying they were all in a serious condition.
A family of 4 were taken to hospital. A 43-year-old woman and a 16-year-old boy are currently within Glasgow Royal Infirmary. A 47-year-old male is currently within Queen Elizabeth University Hospital, and an 11-year-old boy is within the Royal Hospital for Sick Children.
The investigation into the cause of this massive explosion is continuing. The fire service very much involved in that work. The 3 other families closest to the blast are said to be fine.
Our reporter Aileen Clark joins us now. Aileen, do we know what caused this?
Well, I asked the police that when they gave that update a short time ago, because it had been said to the BBC by a local councillor that he certainly believed this was a gas explosion. Now, the police will not confirm that today. They're saying that their investigations are still ongoing, but they did say that that certainly was something they were looking into. And I have to say to you, people here today are terribly, terribly shocked still about this. There's real emotion in their voices when they're talking about it. One woman said to me this was like an earthquake. She could feel it coming up through the floor. Ornaments were falling in her living room. And people really very rocked today at what's happened here. But of course, all saying that bricks and mortar can be rebuilt. Their thoughts are very much with the family that has been taken to hospital. No word yet as to when people who were evacuated from their houses last night will be able to get back in. Still very much work here to do before that can happen.
Aileen in Ayr, thank you. Face coverings will still be required to be worn in secondary school classrooms following advice from Scotland's Chief Medical Officer. The Scottish Government says it's following the recommendation to allow time for more teenagers to be vaccinated. Let's get more on this now with our education correspondent Lucy White. Lucy, is this what we were expecting to happen?
It wasn't actually, Sarah. So there was draft guidance that was leaked last week, and in that guidance it said that secondary pupils and their teachers in their classrooms would no longer have to wear face coverings when they're seated. So that's what we were expecting to hear, but obviously the government has changed its mind. Now, the Education Secretary today says she understands that many young people will be disappointed by this news, but that safety needs to be the overriding priority. The Scottish Government is watching the COVID figures because although they had been dropping, they've levelled off now for some time. And it's also taking the advice of its Chief Medical Officer, who said it's better to hold off on making any changes in schools until more teenagers are vaccinated.
And Lucy, what reaction has there been?
So we just got this news this morning, and as I said, we were expecting a slightly different story today than the one we got. But so far, most teaching unions have welcomed the move. But when it comes to pupils themselves and their parents, opinion is split, as it has been throughout this whole thing, particularly when it comes to face coverings in schools. Quite a lot of strong opinions there. In one camp, we have those that say, let's keep the mitigations, let's keep the face coverings, and let's hopefully keep schools open for longer. And in the other camp, we have those pointing out the fact that young people can socialise outside of schools completely mask-free. Now, there's no time scale yet and when this might change, but we do know that the current mitigations are staying in place in schools for now.
Our education correspondent, Lucy White, thank you. A 16-year-old boy is due to appear in court in Glasgow today, charged in connection with the fatal stabbing of a 14-year-old. Justin McLaughlin was found injured at the city's High Street railway station on Saturday afternoon. He was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Police say their inquiries are continuing. Scotland has missed out on UK government backing to develop its first carbon capture and storage facility. It had been hoped the Acorn project at St Fergus in Aberdeenshire could be ready by the middle of the decade. It's now likely to be developed as part of the second phase in the 2030s. The first development will be on the Humber and around Liverpool. The UK government said it remained committed to the Acorn project's potential, but the SNP described the decision as a catastrophic blow. Sport now, and Celtic are in action against Ferencváros in their Europa League group stage game at the unusual time of 3:30 this afternoon. It was rescheduled from the normal Thursday evening slot due to COP26 and clashes with other games. The match is a big test, not only because it's the first event in Scotland that vaccine passports are being enforced, but on the pitch too. The Hungarian champions knocked the Celts out of the Champions League last season.
We've got to win if we want to keep our hopes alive. Obviously the other two sides in the group have won their two opening games, so you kind of know that if we're going to bridge that gap, we've got to win our games that we've got remaining.
And after a famous victory over Bangladesh, Scotland are back in action today against Papua New Guinea in cricket's T20 World Cup. The Scots made a rocky start in Oman with the loss of 2 early wickets, but Richie Berrington scored 70 runs from 49 balls to help Scotland set a victory target of 166. As Papua New Guinea attempt to hunt that down, they are currently struggling on 67 for 5, so Scotland look to be closing in on a victory. And now for a look at today's weather forecast, here's Gillian Smart.
Good afternoon to you. It's wet and blustery for many of us. More rain to come through the course of this afternoon. We have low pressure close by and weather fronts bringing showers and some longer spells of rain. I think the rain tending to turn more showery through the course of this afternoon, but still some heavy outbreaks to come. Could be some thunder in the mix as well. Some drier spells, especially for eastern Scotland later this afternoon. A wee bit of brightness, maybe some sunshine coming through. Temperature wise on the mild side, but with the brisk southerly winds and with that rain, you probably won't notice that mild feel. Into this evening and overnight, while we keep some showers going for a time, still some heavy, potentially thundery ones, and then they become largely confined to the northwest, a showery band moving into Shetland as well. Elsewhere, it turns dry, some clear spells, temperature-wise about 10 Celsius, so not terribly cold, but gusty winds, especially in the far north and northwest. Into tomorrow, it's staying unsettled. You can see that showery band over Shetland is a cold front that will edge into the north of the mainland through the course of the day. For central, southern, eastern Scotland, it's a mix of sunny spells and a scattering of showers. But once again, you'll notice those winds tomorrow, especially strong in the far north and northwest, reaching gale force and becoming northerly behind that rain band, introducing colder air. And that will be the case for Thursday. Brisk northerly winds driving in scattered showers, some winteriness on the hills, but for most there will be some sunshine as well. That's the forecast.
And that's all for now. We'll be back with more news, sport and weather during Reporting Scotland at 6:30 tonight. From everyone on the Lunchtime team, thank you for joining us and have a very lovely afternoon. Bye for now.